December, January, that period after Christmas, is one of the toughest times of the year for getting a visa. Immigration attorney Remzi Kulen is here to help you through the process and provide some insight on winning approval. Welcome back to the show,
Thank
Remzi.
you.
Let's talk about the approval process. This is more than a notion. This is something you really got to know the specifics about.
Exactly. Every visa category has its own rules, has its own criteria to satisfy. So whether you're applying for a tourist visa or a student visa, there are certain things you need to do in order to get a favorable decision at the U.S. consulate abroad.
Where do you find the most mistakes are made?
The most common misunderstanding we see is that most of the time people will call you and say, look, I have a lot of documents. I'm an executive of the company. I just went to the U.S. consulate to get an approval of, I just applied for a B1, B2 tourist visa. My visa got denied and they didn't even take a look at my documents. That's the first complaint we hear. And what we tell most people is it's not all about the documents. Most interviews are conducted in a 2 to 5 minute intervals. So you just really have a small amount of time to prove yourself, to tell them what you're going to do in the U.S. So verbal communication is a must. The way you present yourself, your manners, how you speak, your self-confidence, they are all important.
Even down to how you dress?
I would say so, yes. Because see, the consular officers, where they operate, they know the people, they know the country. That's why the local information is very important to the local officers. So sometimes the way you dress in some country may matter. So I would say yes.
Now, we're talking about getting a visa abroad,
yes,
to come here. So when you look at all of these, I mean, you have various different countries. Does the process change from nation to nation?
That's a very good question. Yes, it does. Because in some countries, U.S. consular officers are concerned about some things. For example, in some countries, visa fraud is a known issue. So they face with a lot of fake documents. In some other countries, friends do favors to other friends. For example, they put their friends in the payroll. They say that they are employed there to show. In most of the visa applications, we are talking mostly about B visas, tourist visas, and student visas here. You have to show an intent to return to your home country. So that can be shown by some different documents, and some of the time, most of the times, friends help friends in some countries, and in some countries you face with fake documents. So yeah, from country to country, the application process and the procedure differs greatly, actually, yes.
Now, once you get the visa, is that the guarantee that you can come into the country, or is there another part of the process?
Well, the consulate that issues the visa is a Department of State vehicle. So the consulate is actually bound by Department of State rules. It's a Department of State office. When you come to the U.S. at the port of entry, you are facing with a different government authority, which is called U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. So that's a different department. So getting a visa does not mean that you are going to be guaranteed an entry to the U.S. That is decided by the port of entry officer at the port of entry.
Okay. Let me ask you, I'm imagining that there are certain parts of the world, if you're coming from the Middle East, that you may undergo more scrutiny than someone coming from, say, South America.
That's right.
Is that the case?
That is the case. There are, especially after September 11, there are different security clearance procedures that the consulates have to go through. Your name, for example, may resemble someone else's name who is a terrorist, for example. Sure. If the name comes up in the system, then it's called a hit, and then they have to send all the paperwork to Washington, D.C., and they have to get an approval from Washington, D.C. to be able to issue you the visa.
So it can really slow down the process.
It can slow down the process. So we say, apply if you can at least 3 months in advance of your travel date, because it may take anywhere between 1 to 2 business days to 12 weeks, or sometimes more if there's a security clearance issue to get the visa.
Are there better times to apply, better times of the year, or worse times?
Well, there are busy times. Christmas is a busy time. New Year's is a busy time. Summer travel, spring break, summer vacations, these are busiest times of the year. I'd say anything else, any time else would be a better time to apply for a visa, but that doesn't mean that you cannot come to the U.S. during the Christmas, just apply in advance.
Earlier,
yes.
Okay, so plan ahead is
Plan
the key
ahead,
thing.
exactly.
All
yes.
right, thanks much for coming on board and
Thank you
sharing
so
that.
much. Happy
we'll talk
New
to
Year.
you again soon. Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year to you as well.
Thank you.